Just when myself and a ton of other people started to doubt Marvel, Kevin Feige said, "Hold my beer." What's going on, guys? I'm Chris and welcome back to another video. So today I'm doing a little exciting ranking talking about the upcoming MCU projects. I'm going to be ranking them by my excitement, so from least excited to most excited. This includes all the Phase 5 projects that were announced at Comic-Con yesterday, as well as some of those Phase 6 projects that Kevin Feige teased. But before I get into this ranking, make sure to hit that like button, comment down below your most anticipated project that was announced yesterday, and make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos like this one. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get into this ranking from least excited to most excited. I'm not going to do any of the animated shows because they weren't on the official timeline. I don't really feel like talking about them right now in this video. So starting at the bottom, my least anticipated show or movie from Phase 5 and 6 has to be Agatha, Coven of Chaos. It was formerly called House of Harkness, and I just don't know why, but I'm not too hyped for this show. I'm definitely going to check it out. I think Kathryn Hahn was brilliant as Agatha in WandaVision, but the show itself, I'm not the most excited for. Just compared to everything else, there's other reasons why it falls on the bottom. I would like this show to focus on, you know, the 1600s, that Salem witch time period, and have like a parallel timeline running with her current day, like post WandaVision, maybe so that she could become a threat in the MCU again. That's kind of the way I would pitch this story. Something had to come in last place on this list. So next down on my list is going to be Echo, the upcoming show about Echo, who is a character that was introduced in Hawkeye. And I'm pretty excited for this show, mainly because it's confirmed Daredevil's going to be in it, Kingpin's going to be in it. It could kind of set up Daredevil Born Again, which we're going to talk about later on this list. It seems like it's going to basically serve to continue Echo's story, while also kind of setting up some major storylines that are coming to play in Daredevil Born Again, which obviously is going to be pretty high on this list. We'll talk about that in a second. But next on my list is going to be Ironheart, the upcoming Disney Plus series focusing on Riri Williams as Ironheart. We got our first look at this character in the MCU yesterday when the Black Panther Wakanda Forever teaser trailer dropped, and the show seems interesting enough. I'm sure my excitement for Ironheart will be elevated after Black Panther Wakanda Forever, because I'm sure she's going to be a scene stealer in that movie. But other than that, a lot of these Disney Plus series are just going to naturally fall lower on my excitement list. Next on my list is going to be Loki Season 2, the first Season 2 of a MCU Disney Plus show, thankfully. And also, this one is currently filming right now. I liked Loki Season 1. I had my fair share of issues with it. It's not my favorite MCU Disney Plus show, but I've thought about it more over time, and it seems to be growing on me, which is always a good sign. It had a really wild ending, especially involving Kang the Conqueror, but there are so many questions that need to be answered heading into Season 2, which is why I'm fairly excited for Loki Season 2. We've got Mobius, Owen Wilson coming back. This version of Loki, which is probably one of my favorites we've seen in the MCU thus far, and I wonder how much of a role Kang will actually play in this show. Next on my list is going to be the Marvels, which I'm actually fairly excited for, especially after the ending of Miss Marvel, and we got our first look at Brie Larson in that movie. And of course, we have Kamala Khan and Monica Rambeau all teaming up. Monica Rambeau I've been praising since WandaVision. She was probably my favorite part of that show. This is going to be the best we've seen Captain Marvel on the big screen, I think, and we're also going to get Miss Marvel again, so it'll be cool to see this little team unite. I'm also excited because I think Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury is going to be in this movie, and this is just going to be a fun one. Next on my list is going to be Secret Invasion, a show that I think has the potential to be the best MCU Disney Plus show thus far because the cast is absolutely stacked. Headlining it, you've got Samuel L. Jackson and Nick Fury, but you also have Emilia Clarke, who's going to play a major role. She's just a star. And then you got Olivia Colman, who's won an Oscar in this as well. There's other actors that are in this show that I'm blanking on right now, but Secret Invasion was described as like a darker kind of political thriller set in the MCU. So something that's breaking like the mold of the typical like origin story or just generic kind of superhero story. This is not going to be that because there's really no superhero at the forefront of this story. It's more of like a government organization doing their thing. We don't get that much in the MCU, so this is going to be like a behind the scenes, and I'm all here for it. Plus, with Skrulls being such a main part of the plot, I'm sure it's going to have its crazy moments. Next on my list is going to be Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, a movie that I'm pretty stoked for. I mean, I've always loved Ant-Man. He's just a fun, lovable character. You've got the Wasp, and then that poster that was released, we actually saw Cassie Lang rocking a purple suit, which just looks so clean. Plus, you've got Kang as the main villain of this movie, and he's looming over all our heroes. And I was reading about some of the footage that was shown at Comic-Con from Ant-Man and the Wasp, and there was a scene apparently where Kang is talking to Ant-Man, and he says, "You're an Avenger. Haven't I killed you before?" Kang's gonna be a badass villain. They're really setting him up to be the next Thanos of the MCU. Next, I got Thunderbolts, which is going to conclude MCU's Phase 5. I'm really excited to see what lineup they go with here. I'm hoping Yelena's in this, maybe John Walker and a few other really cool heroes are in this. This one has a lot of potential to just be a fun, action-packed movie, and we don't really get these odd teamings in the MCU. We have the Guardians, and we have the Avengers. We don't have any other teams, so I'm down to see a new team introduced in the MCU with Thunderbolts. But a movie that I'm a little bit more excited for that comes out right before this one is Captain America 4: New World Order. Give me me more Sam Wilson as Captain America. We've been deprived of that since The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Bucky hopefully comes back in this one as well, and maybe even Zemo has a little role too. But New World Order has me thinking we're going to get the return of Hydra or some new version of Hydra in this movie, which I'm all here for. Go back to the roots of this Captain America story and have Sam Wilson kicking ass in that suit, because it's probably the cleanest suit in the MCU. Next on my list is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, a movie that I am so stoked for, and apparently is going to be the end of the Guardians as we know it. I know James Gunn has said in recent years, as he's been writing it, it's going to be the darkest and it's going to be a sad movie, and after the footage that was shown at Comic-Con, which I read about, apparently Rocket is in trouble. And I've always been saying I think Rocket's probably going to bite the dust in this movie, but I think it's more evident now than ever, especially with the High Evolutionary being the main villain of the film, and apparently there's a shot of the Guardians without Rocket, which has me thinking he's going to be captive the whole movie. He might end up sacrificing himself or just dying at the end of the movie. That would be absolutely heartbreaking, because Rocket is going to be at the focus of this movie. There was a picture of him as a baby that was released from Comic-Con, so it's going to be tragic, I think. We might even lose Drax. Hell, we might lose all the Guardians of the Galaxy, which would be truly devastating, but I think it's going to go out with a bang. It's going to be the best Guardians movie. I really believe that. It's going to be hard to top the first one, but I think this one can do it. I'm a sucker for conclusions, and this sounds like the conclusion of the Guardians as we know them in the MCU. So I'm about to get in my top 5 most anticipated projects that were announced, and before I do, make sure to hit the like button, comment down below the ones you're the most excited for, and make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. But taking us into the top 5 has to be Daredevil Born Again, an 18-episode Disney Plus series for Marvel. This is huge because all the MCU Disney Plus shows are usually 6 episodes, WandaVision being 9, and She-Hulk being 9. 18 is massive, because this means we can actually get to focus on our character development and have these arcs that feel earned and have nice payoff in our series, and we haven't got that thus far really, so I think 18 episodes is huge for Daredevil Born Again. The thing that also excites me is the fact that Marvel Zombies recently received a TVMA rating, plus Deadpool 3 is going to be rated R in the MCU. So now I'm thinking, okay, Daredevil has a chance to maintain the TVMA rating that it had when it was originally on Netflix for the first 3 seasons, and having it say Born Again, it seems like it's going to be a reboot, but still similar. We know Vincent D'Onofrio is coming back as Kingpin, we've already seen him in Hawkeye. We know that Charlie Cox is coming back, we've already seen him in No Way Home. The biggest question I have going into this show, is this a continuation of the Daredevil Netflix series, or is this a new timeline and that whole entire Daredevil show is just another branch of the multiverse? Only time will tell, but I'm really hoping this one sticks to the TVMA rating, and 18 episodes has me pretty pumped. Next on my list is going to be Blade. I've been hyped for this movie ever since it was announced that Mahershala Ali was going to be playing Blade in this movie. We're introducing vampires in the MCU. I'm sure we're going to get Kit Harington as Black Knight, something that we've needed since that Eternals post-credit scene, as Kit Harington is the man, Jon Snow. You gotta love him. And of course, this movie's rumored to have Anthony Starr coming in to play Dracula, and if that happens, this might be like number 2 on my list. I'm really pumped for Blade, and it's closer than we think. It's coming out November of next year. Count me in. But number 3 on my list is going to be Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, a movie that was announced to be coming out the same year as my number 2, which is Avengers, the Secret Wars, so I'm just going to talk about these movies together. Kang Dynasty I'm a little less excited for than Secret Wars, because Secret Wars holds this huge name, and it could literally be one of the craziest movies of all time, with tons of past heroes coming back. I'm talking we could get variants of RDJ and Chris Evans as Cap and Iron Man. We could get Toby and Andrew. We could get past X-Men, Fantastic Four. Anything is possible in Avengers Secret Wars, so that's why it's my number 2. And Kang Dynasty at number 3, because I think that I'm still pumped for it, but I saw this really cool theory online where maybe it's 2 different Avengers teams fighting in the different films, and that kind of makes sense because we're getting one movie in May and one in November, so what if they're just 2 different Avengers entities? Because we have such a grand world now and so many characters to play with, you could assemble 2 different huge Avengers movies with different casts of characters, and I might honestly be on board with that. But I'm really excited to see Kang take on this huge villain role in the Kang Dynasty. I hope he doesn't die in Kang Dynasty. I hope he's still around after that, but again, I don't know. He might not make it out of that one alive, but we'll see. This could introduce Doctor Doom and Secret Wars. Who knows what their endgame is? I'm very excited that we have our next big team-up movie laid out, so we can kind of lay the seeds for those movies in each movie, whether that be in one scene or a post-credit scene. I'm here for it because I've always loved how Marvel's building up to these big events, and they can still have their individual stories that are enthralling, but throwing these little seeds in along the way makes it even more special, and that's why I've always loved the MCU, is we can have our fun, you know, with Thor Ragnarok, but it sets up Infinity War at the same time, and I think that's where we're going to be headed now. So I think Phase 5 is going to be a massive step up from Phase 4. But with those Avengers movies being my 2 and 3, at least one movie or project to be my number 1, and that is Fantastic Four. Plain and simple, I am so hyped for this movie because I think it's going to be the first truly great Fantastic Four movie. We haven't had one in existence of humanity yet, and we're going to get one in 2024, November 8th. The next big thing revolving this movie is who's going to play the Fantastic Four, and I'd be willing to bet some money they're going to announce this at D23. There have been some leaks going around online as to who could be that cast, and if those leaks end up being true, whew, we're in for a treat, especially with the Human Torch. But regardless of who plays these characters, I think that they're going to have a lot of fun with Fantastic Four and introduce them to have an integral part in the MCU as we move forward. It's been since 2015 since we even got a Fantastic Four movie, so it'll have been 9 years at that point. The MCU hasn't let us wrong with team-up movies yet, especially stuff like Guardians and the Avengers films, so I really think Fantastic Four is going to be fantastic, as the name might insinuate. But that's my ranking of all the announced upcoming MCU projects based on my excitement. Let me know what projects you guys are the most excited for in the comments down below. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future MCU videos, Stranger Things videos, top 10s. Feel free to follow me on my other social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Those are linked down below. I also have a letterbox where I do movie reviews over there. I also have a merch store now. You guys might see it if you're watching this video. You can use code STRANGER in all caps at checkout for 20% off your entire order. And feel free to join the Patreon community. Starting at $2 a month, you guys can get extra videos, behind the scenes content, follow back on social media, tons of other perks. Check that out, link down below. But thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos coming very soon. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.